Hey, it's Alex Ratcliffe from Board Game Co. and this is Week in Review. Game news, all the stuff that happened this week, past videos, things coming up, all the usual stuff you expect from this video if you've watched it before. And if you haven't watched it before, it's all those stuff that I just said. This is the last Week in Review of the year. The last video of 2021, that's not true. The last Week in Review of 2021. We'll have more videos in 2021 because, wait, no, that's not even 2021. What am I talking about? Last week. Sorry, I'm filming this in 2021. You're watching it on the first day of 2022. So yeah, that's a thing. In any case, let's go ahead and jump into it. As usual, timestamps below, so you can check whatever relevant section you want, from game news to people, to stuff, to things, because I have a whole bunch of stuff and things to talk about in this video, including our topic of the week, which is recognizing whether a game is good, even though you don't like it. It really should be its own dedicated video. Now I feel bad. Maybe I'll make its own dedicated video too. We'll see. Let's go ahead. So starting off with just an assortment of news, different things from around the board game space in general, starting with the fact that Eric Martin is a monster. Some of you may already have seen this, but Eric Martin, BoardGameGeek, he is a complete monster in the way he stores his games. You think I'm a problem in the way that my box fronts never line up? Hey, this lines up. Look at that, that lines up. That's got to be a one of a kind. Does this line up? This one lines up. I'm 2 for 2 on this. Okay, cool. Yeah, never mind. Okay, but usually my game boxes just don't line up to the front and the back. I don't make an effort to try, so if it's a square, there's a 25% chance I get it right. You think that's a problem? Check out Eric Martin and his video on how he stores his games, or more specifically on how he does not store his games. He just dumps it all in the box because he thinks that's faster and better and more efficient. He is a monster, I tell you. But you can check that out in case you want to be really disturbed, and I will always feel better. In the future, whenever someone says something like, oh, your coffee's too close to your games, your box is on backwards, I'm going to be like, I can one-up you, and I'm going to link to that Eric Martin video. So thank you, Eric Martin. I appreciate it. Speaking of which, this is, now that I'm realizing this is a bit too late because 2021 is over, but BoardGameGeek, they are doing their end-of-year fundraising thingy where they, you can become a member, you can subscribe, do all that stuff. They're like trying to get to the 18,000 they usually try to get to, all that stuff, which this video would get them a few people if it weren't already 2022. So, BoardGameGeek, I like you. I'm sorry I was late with this one. But moving on from there, we have the Rambling Awards. A bunch of things around the board game space, starting with the Rambling Awards. If you check out Board Game Ramblings, they just did a video with Rambling Awards with a whole bunch of special guests. And yes, I am in the video. I'm not just saying it because they did it, although I do like them. I do watch their videos a lot. But yes, they do a whole Rambling Awards. They're talking about most innovative game, best game to play in the shower. Yes, that's an actual category, so you can check that out if you want to see more from Johannes and Sinova. Then from there we have a few other different things around the board game space. We have Board Games Can Tell Stories. I did a bit of an interview with a newsletter. It's not really a video, it's just a newsletter. Someone puts out this newsletter around general things in space, and he's talking about the nature of, I can't remember the name, like ludo something dissonance, some sort of cognitive dissonance around the idea in video games. Sometimes you have these this gap in storytelling, in the sense that, let's say the example he gives is Grand Theft Auto, where there's an actual story going on about how the characters have certain motivations, and then as soon as you're done with the cutscene, you can go ahead and steal cars and hit people and shoot random people, and so suddenly there's this dissonance between the theoretical story being told and how your character is allowed to act. And so that led him to want to talk about board games and the stories they tell. And so he had a bit of a conversation with me around my stance on board game stories. I may or may not be the right person to talk about it from the stance that I care about mechanics first over stories. I did make that clear. But I can be pulled in by stories, including moments where I acted differently than I should mechanically because the story drove me to do so, that I felt pulled in enough that I couldn't act in the best mechanical interest. I had to act in a way that was more thematic. So I go into that, including some things where we have that form of dissonance. A good example would be Stone Age. Stone Age, where you can let your people starve because it's the most important, it's the best way to get victory points in that strategy, which is just a major dissonance, same as that Grand Theft Auto. But either way, I'll link to that newsletter if you want to read that and or subscribe for future newsletters from him. From there we have Room and Board, who I accidentally unsubscribed from, apparently. I realized that because I was like, hey, I haven't seen a Room and Board video in a while, and maybe he's like, just given up on YouTube. The whole thing's too challenging. It's hard. It's tough. People don't really want 5 reasons why not to back $1 million Kickstarter. Maybe. Turns out my subconscious knows better than my conscious mind, and I must have unsubscribed at some point. He's still putting out videos. I just missed the last 5. So if you want to watch his most 2 videos recently that you should check out, one is all the $1 million Kickstarters ranked from this year. So all the $1 million Kickstarters this past year ranked in order. Whatever his ranking system is, I don't trust it because that guy likes Battlestar Galactica. But then secondly, He has a Table Talk Back episode. I did a video with him a while ago, basically talking about the perfect collection size, my theory around it, my theory that I don't always follow, but my theory around the perfect collection size. And he does this Table Talk Back thingy from Rodney Smith, the same concept, where he deals with the responses and engages with the questions, the community, and then goes through that. So he did that video with a special guest that is not me. It's not me. I know it looks like me. It's not me. I am not in that video. But you can check that out if you want to laugh at someone. Preferably Chris, not me. So, moving on from there, we have, speaking of other content creators and different things in the space, we have Devon Talks Tabletop. Devon, who's someone you've seen on this channel, he has his own little channel where he's put out like 4 videos. So I wanted to put out more videos because I like his stuff. And if you liked seeing him on some of the top 10 lists I've done, then I recommend going over to Devon Talks Table Talk and subscribing to his channel where he talks about different games, including a recent one he talked about 2 recent ones. Maybe McKee was one of them? I can't remember. I think McKee might... No. Black Sonata. I'm thinking of different solo, small package games. Talked about Black Sonata, and then he talked about Forbidden Stars. I have it on my shelf here, so I just have to look at it. Forbidden Stars, he talks about that. If you want to find out his general thoughts and opinions, and or give him critical but friendly advice, you can do that on Devon Talks Table Talk. Link to all the things I talk about down below. From there, we have the Brothers Murph. The Brothers Murph, who lots of content creator stuff this week, and this is not the last one either, but the Brothers Murph, who recently did the craziest thing they've ever done. That's not true. The craziest thing they've ever done was play through their entire collection in a week. The Brothers Murph, you guys are wacko. I love it. But past that, they decided to play through the entire Gloomhaven in a week. I don't know which one's actually harder. I'd imagine playing through your entire collection is harder. They have like hundreds of games. But either way, they decided to play through the entire Gloomhaven in a single week. They did it. They went for it. They succeeded, and that's it. That's nothing more special to talk about there. I recommend watching the video. In my own opinion, a good part of the video is boring. Then again, so are mine, so I'm not complaining. But I would say the beginning and then the end were worth paying attention to. Meaning, like, if you started and then get a little bored, skip to the end where they talk about how it affected their opinion of Gloomhaven, what their takeaways are. Just watching them play through Gloomhaven in rapid fire mode, for me, wasn't that interesting for 40 minutes. But I did enjoy the first 5 and the last 20 minutes of the video. It's just the 15 minutes in the middle that I kind of skipped. But again, you probably do that with my videos. In fact, some of you skipped directly to other stuff and never even saw me talk about this, which is sad now that I think about it. And then, lastly in content creator news, King of Average. King of Average is running his end-of-the-year fundraiser, if you want to check that out. And this is not the reason to... Well, let's take a step back. King of Average is running a fundraiser to support his channel, pay for equipment, pay for his time. Time is also a factor. People always... And I do the same. I do the same a little bit, but I try not to that much. Content creators always, pitch everything can you, help give me money because I want to pay for equipment? Or to go to conventions, or all these expenses. Nobody likes saying, pay for the time I put into it. People don't like saying that, because it feels like, no. I can ask people to give me money for equipment, but I shouldn't ask people money for my time. My time is worthless. And it's not. It's not worthless. Time is never worthless. And yes, I'm saying this selfishly for myself as well. Plug, I have a Patreon down below, but this is not about me. This is about King of Average. I just have to do that. But no, the time, effort, and energy that goes into videos is something that's worth being paid for as well. Now, in general, this is not something you have to pay for, ever. Whenever you're doing a Kickstarter, a Patreon, crowdfunding, whatever you're doing, nobody has to give you money. If I put out content for free, if King of Average puts out content for free, you owe that person nothing. Now, the relevant part is that my own opinion from being in the board game space for 11 years, is that content creators, most content creators, except for the big ones, come and go. If you're not, Watcher Played, Rado, Dice Tower, Shut Up and Sit Down, most content creators don't last more than a few years in the board game space. Or they last for a few years, but then they put out less and less content as time goes on. They go from, videos every single day or every single week to, hey, once every 3 or 4 weeks I put out a video when the mood strikes me. And I think a big part of that is just general burnout around content creation. I think people start getting into content creation as a passion, as a hobby. They love it. They go for it. But then, over time, the natural process is life gets busy. Things get in the way. You have another kid. Work gets complicated. You want to play a bit more games. And the thing you started doing because it was your passion can fizzle away. Not completely, but it's work. It is 100% work. And so if there's not a financial return to the work, people you know and like will go away. I would say, forget King of Average. We'll come back to King of Average in a second. Pick whatever content creator you enjoy. Whichever one you want. And if they aren't one of the big 4, I highly recommend that you find their Patreon, find their Ko-Fi, find their... Is it coffee or Ko-Fi? I always said Ko-Fi, but I'm realizing it's probably coffee, but that's weird now. Find whatever form of support that they like. YouTube membership. And then, if you want them to stay in the space, if you value their content enough that you would like them to not burn out, because I hate to break it to you, 5 to 10,000 subscribers, 5 to 20,000 subscribers is not going to make it worth the time you put into it. It's not. Practically speaking, it's just not. So you have to either keep your passion alive for a long time, which is possible but incredibly rare. Again, find me the content creators who have continued to put out consistent content again and again and again for years on end. Not for like 2 years, not for 3 years, for 5 years. Most people eventually go away, and I think a big part of it is there's a lack of financial incentive. It has to be driven by passion. And so I think the reason to support a content creator you like is that aspect of, first of all, a form of appreciation. You don't have to, but a form of appreciation for the content you benefit from. Secondly is from the fact that, selfishly, if you don't want them to go away, if you like insert channels, names, videos, and you would like to see them here, not just for the year or two that they've been here, but for the next 4 or 5 years, I highly recommend you in some way support them. And many of you won't, and some of you will, and that's the nature. It's the nature. I mean, I have like 30,000 subscribers and 300 people on Patreon. That's 0.1% of people. Is it 0.1%? Yes, 0.1%. So basically, 1 for every 1,000 subscribers decide to support me on Patreon, which again is fine. I'm not trying to push to. It's weird. I am trying to push you to back me on Patreon. That's not. It's a tangential aspect. The general idea is people often have, myself included, people often have this mental block of why should I pay for something that's free? Because, I mean, it's free. I could do it, but why should I? Well, selfishly, that's your reason. Now back onto King of Average. Sorry, I just got to try chat. This is supposed to be about King of Average for 2 seconds. This became about content creators in general. But King of Average is running a fundraiser. And now I'm going to directly contradict everything I just said and say, if you are completely uninterested in supporting people because supporting people, whether or not you like King of Average's videos, I'm going to give you an additional incentive to go on over there. Which is, as of the time of me filming this, there are 99 people who are currently, supporting his fundraiser. And there's 92 prizes. And if you check out the FAQ, he's giving away prizes to randomly pick, he's going to try to match up to what you want, but no guarantees. So no guarantees at all. No guarantees you'll win. No guarantees you'll get what you want if you do win. But there are 92 different prizes for 99 people. And yes, it is limited to 1 prize per person. In other words, your chances of getting a prize right now, one of the giveaways, is very strong. So if you, even if just selfishly, if you want to go ahead and give $5, and I think $5 is the minimum entry for like a ticket or whatever it is, if you want to give $5 just to get a prize, your chances are decent, and of course you're supporting someone in the space as well. Now, the flip side is do look through the prizes. While there are 92 prizes, I would say, at least speaking for myself, I'd say maybe half of those I wouldn't care about, either prototypes or game genres or types that I wouldn't care for. So yes, there are a lot of prizes. Your chances of winning a prize are fairly decent, unless of course, 200 of you then go, if 200 people watching go back it, suddenly your odds drop. So that's weird tangent in that sense. But my point is, if you want a prize potentially, and or support it, and or just general awareness, King of Average is running a fundraiser. And from there, let's go ahead into new games, but I'm going to take a sip of coffee, Ko-Fi, as it were. So, my moments to breathe. Moment to just let everything rest for a second. Moving on to games. Not a lot of news here. First of all, we have Patchwork continuing to churn out more Patchwork. That is completely unnecessary, but I mean, as long as people keep buying it, it is what it is. I saw a thing, Asmodee, back to Asmodee, when they released they had a whole talk when they were purchased, basically, by Embracer Group. They talked about how, the amount of SKUs of Ticket to Ride being sold every single year just keeps rising to, 2.5 million Ticket to Ride SKUs in 2021, or maybe it's 2020, but 2.5 million Ticket to Ride SKUs. And that's a number that keeps rising. They estimate, apparently Asmodee estimates that there are 50 million casual gamers out there and 10 million hardcore gamers, which is a number that I would not have thought was that high. I thought it was because we know that 1 million copies of Wingspan just sold. So I would have extrapolated to probably around 10 million casual and maybe 2 or 3 million hardcore. Apparently, I'm going to go with Asmodee's numbers. I assume they know more than I do on this, but that's a lot of people. That's, let's do the math on that. That's 10 million people, minus the 34,000 subscribers I have. That's 9,966,000 people that could be subscribing to this channel. Yeah, let's go with that. Anyways, moving on from that. So basically, the reason I'm talking about this is because I'm thinking of Patchwork and Asmodee and just the putting out 1 million different things. But Patchwork is putting out Christmas and Valentine's Day versions of Patchwork. So if you're interested in Patchwork and you want more art, there's so many versions at this point. I think they all look amazing. I just don't need more than one version of Patchwork, but they all look delightful. So I love the art on all these things. I just can't justify owning more than one Patchwork. I want like a Patchwork subscription bundle where you just, every like 3 months you get a new Patchwork and you rotate your other one out. The cost of shipping would kill any benefit of that. If Star Trek could invent like actual transporting stuff, that would be really helpful for board game trading, shipping, selling, all that stuff, because board games are not cheap to deal with. Then, that is not a good spin there. Nope, that's not a good spin. It's still just ringing. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so moving on from there, we have, that's Patchwork. We have Maglev Metro announcing 2 more maps, and if you're like, Alex, you just talked about this a few weeks ago, you're not wrong. Those maps are not even out yet, but they announced 2 more are coming. We're going to have London and Paris joining mechs and monorails for more maps coming in 2022 for Maglev Metro, which I really need to review. I want to play it at more... Again, this is the problem. Like, I've played it multiple times, but I want to get more plays in. Games always have that weird bandwidth where I either feel ready to review it or I feel I want to see more. With Maglev Metro, I want to see more of the game before I review it, and so I'm going to wait. It's not... Yeah, either way, that's the side point. I want to talk about it because I really like Maglev Metro. From there, moving on to Lacerda. Lacerda is going to have Bot Factory coming out in 2022. Bot Factory is kind of the same way we have Mercado de Lisboa to Lisboa, where we have a subset of the Lisboa game driven into its own game. Bot Factory is taking a segment of the Kanban game and putting it into its own game, which is either good news or bad news, depending on how much you like Mercado de Lisboa. I mean, it's not bad news. If you don't want it, just don't get it. And if you're like, but that's my Lacerda fix, I want my Lacerda fix, well then don't worry. He has Inventions coming out as well in 2022. He just shared a picture over on Facebook, I believe I saw it, of Inventions, the next game they're working on. I like the name. I'm intrigued. I've played Lisboa now, so now I feel like I want all his games, but I really should play Lisboa more and get all of his games more before I really dive down that rabbit hole. They're big games. They're big boxes. Anyways, that is all the game news, which brings us to topic of the week, which, speaking of Mercado Lisboa and Lisboa and all these games, it's an interesting conversation to me, which is recognizing whether a game is good, even if you don't like it. And it's a complicated conversation. And it's a complicated conversation on multiple parts. And it's sparked by a game I played this week, very specifically, a game that I played this week where I'm like, I think this game is really good. I also don't love it. It's not bad, it's not the worst, but it's fighting in a genre where I'm never going to play it again, because I didn't love it. It was dry. It did the job well. Money felt tight. Things were, I mean, you'll probably see a review coming up for this one soon, but it was a good game, I think. I'm 99% sure it's a good game. There are many aspects of the game that I think I did enjoy. There are many aspects I did enjoy, and the core engine provides a very obvious strategic puzzle. But I don't know whether... I think it's a good game, and I think I didn't... I think it's a good game, I think I was merely okay with it, but I don't know it's a good game. How do you know if a game is good when you don't personally like it? And it's complicated, because there's different aspects to a game. There's the aspect of the actual, just whether you enjoyed it. And that's easy. You either enjoyed it or not. And sometimes the game has flaws and you enjoyed it. A great example is Horizon Zero Dawn, which I need to play it a lot more before I review it on the channel, but I have played it multiple times already, and I like it. But I can point to dozens of flaws. Same thing with Etherfields. I had the same problem with Etherfields, where I really enjoyed the gameplay, but yeah, there were a lot of reasonable complaints around the game. And so that's almost weirdly recognizing... I can't call it bad because I enjoyed it. Isn't that the primary function of a game, to enjoy it? So I can't call them bad, but I can say that anyone who has complaints against them, I completely understand. And then the reverse is true as well. Sometimes I play a game and I'm like, well, that wasn't so great for me. And if someone's like, that's my favorite game ever, I can get that. And I think that's true for this game. Again, I'll be reviewing it next week, but this game that I played, if someone said, hey, I love that game, I'd be like, that makes sense. I can completely see why you'd love this puzzle. It was a very strategic puzzle, lots of ways to min-max, lots of ways to optimize. If you enjoy Euro games, I can see why you'd like it. But it wasn't for me. And I'm not certain. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not for anyone. Maybe most people would be like, no, that was just forgettable. How do you know if a game is good or not? And for me, it's usually me looking at different aspects of the game and trying to think through whether the things I don't like about the game have been successful in other games. And in this case, the answer is yes. There's nothing I can point to in this specific game where I can, and I'll just say it because it's going to be coming up in a review anyway. It's Dampierre. Dampierre, which is, and again, we're going to be reviewing it this week, but Dampierre is a game that nothing about what I didn't enjoy, all the things I didn't enjoy, I should phrase it that way, all the things I didn't enjoy, I know work in other games. I know are successful in other games, and the core mechanics of the game work well. And it basically comes down to two things. It's not a game that I didn't like. It's a game that I didn't like enough to continue to play and keep past my covering the game. But it's a game where cash is tight, and I don't love it in any game where cash is tight, no matter how well rated the game. If I'm struggling to feed my people or earn money and I can't have an engine going just for sheer lack of funds, I don't love that. I don't mind it when a game gives me 17 things to do and I have to pick and choose. That's different. But when a game's like, hey, you have to take basic actions also, there's no money for you, I don't love that feeling of tightness that a game provides. I want games to provide me, let me do everything, and I have to optimize around that. This is often the Stefan Feld, one of the reasons I love his designs, is because Stefan Feld lets me do everything, and I just have to do it better than the other people at the table. Versus in Dampierre, money was tight, and I had to struggle to just have my money in play at all times so I can take actions that require money to take. And then the second thing is the things you're doing, the engine you're building. Like, what aspects of that engine are fun versus where are they strategic? And that's a hard one for me to really pinpoint. In Dampierre, it worked well. I think it worked well, but at no point did it really wow me. Everything tied together, and everything is clearly strategic. It is clearly well designed. It clearly works. Like, I would not be surprised if a lot of people who like heavy Euros like that game a lot. For me, I like some heavy Euros, but this one was okay to me. It was a good game. It was fine. Enjoyed it. Don't need to continue playing it past playing it to review. But it's just an interesting conversation around recognizing whether a game's good. Like, another one I have that comes to mind is, there's a bunch. There's Pipeline, there's Cusco, there's Imperium Legends, or whatever it is. All of those games are games that I know I didn't like, and I also think they're good. I could tell that the core mechanics worked well together. I could tell that the game provided you strategic puzzles. They just all didn't do what I want out of a game. And so I feel that they're well-rated games that people would like, and they're just not for me. I'm not the target audience for them. But it's always hard to tell because, give me 1 second. One thing I struggle with is the idea that I don't want to review games I'm not the target audience for. If you show me a game and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't buy that, then I'm not going to review it. Why should I? But when it comes to Euros are a category, particularly a harder one, because Euros are harder for me to tell off the bat whether it's something I do like or not. I might well be interested, and then when I play, I'm like, oh, it wasn't for you. Now, once you factor in all the mechanics and the way the game works, it could well be I'm not the target audience for it. But it's harder for me to know that until I dive in. I can read the rules and not know it. I did that with Dampierre. I was like, oh, this is awesome. I can see how this works. I can see all the things tying together. Let's dive into it and play it. And then when I played it, I was like, oh, money's tight. Didn't realize that. And the rest of the game was fine. The rest of the game was good. It wasn't that the game was bad at all. It's just that money was tight combined with a game that I didn't love all the aspects of it. I liked all the aspects, and money was tight. And that provides a recipe for a game that I'm not in a rush to pull out and play. But either way, it's a bit of just an interesting conversation, recognizing when I don't like a game, is it bad or is it not for me? And sometimes, by the way, there are times when I play a game and I'm like, this is bad. I just think you're a bad game. I do not think that you are a good game. It's not that I don't want to play you, it's that I think you're a bad game. And even then, I know that there are people who have enjoyed those games. And so then I wonder, like, am I wrong? Or maybe it's the Ether Fields and Horizon Zero Dawn aspect, meaning if I didn't enjoy Horizon Zero Dawn, I would be able to point to 15 reasons, well, not 15, but like, I'd be able to point to like 5 or 6 aspects of Horizon Zero Dawn and say, these are bad game design. And then if you combine that with a negative opinion around the game, then yeah, I'd say it's a bad game. It happens to be I enjoy Horizon Zero Dawn. So the flip side is then you're going to have someone like me who comes along and says, Horizon Zero Dawn is a ton of fun. It has issues, but like, it's a ton of fun. And that's a weird contrast. So it's that weird conversation, like, are games ever really bad? Like, is there a factual aspect of a game being bad, or it always comes down to an opinion? And how that opinion shifts or affects things, I don't know. It's just a complicated conversation. Because, like, I know I've played games that I didn't like at all, and I thought they were flawed, and I thought they were just straight up bad games, and then I see someone else reviewing it, and they're like, yeah, really enjoyed this one. And I'm not questioning the person. I'm not. It's the other way around. I think that there's no real reason to lie. Why were they, I mean, it's just a complicated conversation. Games aren't really bad. Games are just complicated. That's not a good spin. Not a good spin. There we go. But yeah, that is the topic of the week. It's just something I constantly struggle with. The recognition of my own opinion and then trying to put my own opinion aside when I'm reviewing a game because I want to be fair to a game. So if I don't like a game and I see reasons, I'll point to all the reasons I didn't like it. And then you have to read into those reasons and see if it's for you or not. So for instance, when I reviewed Dampierre in the what I didn't like section, you're going to see money was tight. It was hard to do things. And then if that resonates with you, you should take into account. If that doesn't bother you, if you're like, please, I mean, I love Age of Steam. When I play Age of Steam and that whole money track and trying to make everything work with no money and trying to just survive, love that feeling. Then you're like, great, play the game. So with that balance, that's why I try to include what I didn't like and what I can see others not liking, so that you can make your own opinion. You can inform your own opinion as to whether this is or isn't a game for you. In any case, moving on to the week in review. running short on time because this video is going longer than usual. I mean, it ranges. Weekend review is always like between 25 to like 40 minutes, so we'll make it work. So moving on to the weekend review, starting with the fact that Saturday. No. What I played. That comes first. Wow, we're so low on time here. Okay. What I played. Opening up my app. Okay. All plays. Going back to 2. There we are. So, Gloomhaven. Got 3 more plays of Gloomhaven. And Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion got 3 more plays of that in. We have Astronauts. Got another play of that. We have The Key. Murder at the Oakdale Club. I've been playing that as well. We have The Search for Planet X. The Key. Murder at the Oakdale Club. And Astronauts. Let's give them more information. Let's start again. Gloomhaven. Still enjoying Gloomhaven. Diving into it. I don't know what's going to happen with it. We'll talk about it more. But right now, 3 more plays of Gloomhaven. Still having fun going through Jaws of the Lion. Specifically Jaws of the Lion. The big box Gloomhaven. Still haven't touched in 3 years. Then we have The Key. Murder at the Oakdale Club. I will have a review coming of the series in general. There's a few of them. I'll have a review coming shortly, probably with my daughter. Really enjoy that one. Really enjoy the series from Haba. Very solid with critiques, so be mindful. It's not a pure, absolute get this game. It's a review with things to be mindful of before you dive into it. We have Astronauts, which is coming from Indie Boards and Cards from Stronghold. That's the Aeon's End reboot. I got in 2 more plays of Astronauts. I already played it a few times. Played it solo with multiple players. I will be covering that one before the Kickstarter goes up. I don't know when the Kickstarter is. I think it's in February. I'm not certain. We have Keyflower. Oh my gosh, Keyflower is delightful. Jesse and Shira, that's Quackalope, they brought over Keyflower, and we played that one. It's an older game, because they're going through the top 100 if you didn't know, so if you want to check out their top 100 reviews, they're going through all that. They're pairing gameplays with the review, just going through, not Cult of the New, but Cult of the Old, although I guess top 100 does have some new in it. But either way, Keyflower is definitely not a new game, and I am getting that game. That game was delightful. Absolutely delightful. I love it when I find an older game that I just never got around to playing. Sometimes it happens, like Viticulture. That was Viticulture for me this year. Never played it before 2021. Happened to finally play it. Love it. Keyflower, excellent game. Excellent game. Got in 2 plays of Factory Funner. That's from Board Game Tables. I'll have a review coming at some point, so no spoilers. We have Azul. I got in 2 plays of Azul. This is back to the top 100. I own Azul. I have Azul, and Shira wanted to play it so she can, get a play in for the top 100. So she played Azul. Really enjoy Azul. I keep it around. I always wonder whether I should call it, but I do enjoy it when I play, and it's a gorgeous game. It's an easy game. It's cutthroat, though. I only liked Azul at 2 players, because that's where it's cutthroat and it's mean. I don't like Azul with more. To me, Azul's not about getting points. It's about making sure your opponent loses points, which might be a mean thing to say, but that's just how I play it. Then we have, give me a second. Then we have Ghost of Christmas. Wow. Got in like 7 plays. Well, 5 over here. We'll get to more, though, before the week's up. Got in 5 plays of Ghost of Christmas from Board Game Tables. I got the bundle of Factory Funner, Ghost of Christmas, and Bear Raid. Already played Factory Funner. Have not yet played Bear Raid. And I've played multiple plays of Ghost of Christmas. Ghost of Christmas was the one I was least excited about. But wow, that one is a good game. I do not like trick-taking. If you've watched me enough, you know that the only trick-taking game I like is The Crew. And that's it. Now it's The Crew and Ghost of Christmas, and turns out trick-taking could work. Ghost of Christmas is phenomenal. I have a review coming today. Spoilers for the review. I have a review coming today on the Ghost of Christmas. It is a good game. Title Blades, Rise in the Enfolders, still enjoying that one. Diving into it to the point that I've already gone through it a few times, and not through all of it. The full game has a bunch of scenarios. Our prototype has like 6 scenarios. I borrowed it from Jesse so I can go through it myself, and he's like, no, wait for me so we can go through it together. So, Title Blades, Rise in the Enfolders, really enjoying that one. Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, still going through that with my daughter. It's a game I got rid of a long time ago, and I tried playing with my game group. It was not a fit for my game group, but playing with my daughter, I'm up to game 6, so we're going through it a ton. We're having a lot of fun. I have the expansions. Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle is one of my more enjoyable games to play with my daughter right now. Really enjoy it. As a game for my game group, not for me, but as a game with my daughter, very awesome. Caesar, got in like 5 plays of, not like 5 plays, got in 5 plays of Caesar. Caesar's the Blitzkrieg newer game. I'll have a review for that at some point. We have The Key, Murder at the Oakdale Club, again. Isle of Cats, a game that I got rid of. I think Isle of Cats is fine. I played it again for, Jesse and Shira, top 100, but I think Isle of Cats is a fine game. I just don't get, it's in the top 100, but like, I don't love it. I think it's fine. Then we have, it's good. Well, whatever. We'll talk about Isle of Cats another time. Ghost of Christmas. Some more plays of Ghost of Christmas. I told you that was coming. We have Tigris and Euphrates. Gotten a play of Tigris and Euphrates. A game I got rid of. A game I still love. And yes, it's a game I won. It's a game that I got rid of. And that's relevant because it's a game I got rid of because I've played it more times than anyone else in my group. And whenever we pull it out and play, to a large margin, like I played it like 20 times and any other person has played it like 2 or 3 times. To the point that when we pull it out and play, I win Tigris and Euphrates. I sit down to play knowing I'll win. I only have 3 games that I say that about. Tigris and Euphrates, Galaxy Trucker, and A Few Acres of Snow. All three are games I loved and got rid of because of that problem. And so, yeah, I love Tigers and Freddy's. Happy to always play it, but yes, it's still one. QE. Got some plays of QE in. Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about that later this week. Yummy Yummy Monster Tummy, continuing to power through that. I'm like 20 plus plays with my kids, continuing to go through it. I still don't like it. I don't. I play it to spend time with them. It's fast, it's quick, I can get in a 10-minute game, but I don't like it. They like it. Lost Winds of Arnak with the expansion. Got into play of Lost Winds of Arnak with the expansion. I'll get a few more plays in and then cover the expansion. I love Lost Winds of Arnak. You know that. The expansion only makes things better, so I'll just save you the time. You don't need to watch the review. The expansion makes things better. I would never play this without the expansion, even with new people. Like, I just don't see a reason to. Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. We got more plays with that in. Another 5 plays of Yummy Yummy Monster Tummy. I told you I'm up to 20 plays. We have Mind MGMT. Got in 3 plays of Mind MGMT. We got in, 3 plays of Mind MGMT. This is the J. Cormier Senfung Lim game. Phenomenal game. Absolutely amazing. Love it. I introduced it to one new person in my game group. He adored it. I knew he would. I pulled it out. They wanted to play Rurik. And yes, I love Rurik. But I was like, no. You haven't played Mind MGMT yet. You should do that. It's your kind of game. It was his kind of game. Then we have Hadrian's Wall. Got another play of Hadrian's Wall. We got in a play of Dampierre, which I talked about already. We have Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. Oh, Hadrian's Wall I still love. Still a great game. We have Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, again with my kids. Some more Yummy Yummy Monster Tummy. And then Dampierre. And that is what I have in my plays for this week. So, let's go ahead and talk about the week in review. All that stuff. The week in review. Starting off with Saturday, where I reviewed Quest for the Moonstones with Ricky. Quest for the Moonstones, it's a good game. I enjoy Quest for the Moonstones. More so than Yummy Yummy Monster Tummy. Both from Lucky Duck, by the way. But the difference for me, not the difference, I shouldn't say it that way. Ricky really enjoys Quest for the Moonstones. All my kids really enjoyed it. Both are app integrated. For me, Quest for the Moonstones was a fun experience to go through with my children. But, at the end of the day, the gameplay is minimal. It's just point and click. It's fun. I enjoyed my time with them, but it's a okay game for me. Meaning, it's one of those weird balances where I'm happy it exists, I'm happy I got it, I'm happy I played it. Meaning, as opposed to Yummy Yummy Monster Tummy, what I'm doing for them, Quest for the Moonstones was a fun experience to do together. But also, the game mechanics are very light. So Ricky gave it like a 4, I gave it a 3. It's an okay game. But I do recommend it, just with the caveat that I think you're kind of along for the ride with your kids. I've done far worse things with my kids. It's okay. Like any of the activities they like, this is fine. Okay, building Lego stuff with them, that takes so much time. Anyways, moving on to Saturday. More Saturday. We had Mega Man Adventures. I reviewed that from Blacklist Games. That was a 4 to 5. Really enjoyed it. It gives you that same feeling. It's one of those games where I would rank it lower, but I know how, not that much lower, but like maybe a 3.5. But I know from Marvel United how it quickly climbed for me. Marvel United is such a good game, and it continues to climb for me just because of how simple and accessible and enjoyable it is, both for people who like strategy and want to be involved, as well as people who don't. Mega Man Adventures have that same feeling of collaboration, of cooperation, of trying to survive. So, really enjoyed it. It gave me the mechanic that I always liked from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shadows of the Past games, but I never kept those games, but I liked the mechanic, the sharing things to the left and to the right, and then it gives you that same collaboration aspect of Marvel United as well. So, really enjoyed that one from Blacklist Games. That's a pre-order, I believe. I don't think it's available yet. Then we have Sunday. Sunday we had 2 live streams. Sunday we had 2 live streams, meaning it's basically one live stream that I had technical issues that got cut off, and my internet is better now, by the way. I got a little dongle, plugged it in, and my internet is much cleaner in the past week, so very happy with that. Pity I did it after the live stream, though. To be fair, I ordered it before the live stream started, it just hadn't arrived yet. But yeah, we had 2 live streams, just talked about a whole bunch of stuff. If you missed it, I'm sorry. For the past 2 months, I've wanted to do a live stream, and then I keep pushing it off because I keep finding a day where I can finally do it, and then I'm like, no, but I didn't announce it to people, and so if I didn't announce it, I can't do it. And then I got to the point where I was like, I have to eventually do a live stream. It's been like 6 months, and so I'll try to do more of them. I will try to announce them, but at this point, it's been long enough that even without pre-scheduling it, it's just hard in my life to practically speaking, schedule the live stream in advance. It's just hard to do that. Videos are much easier because I can film them when I want, and they go up whenever. A live stream, I have to know that I'll be available at the time. It's always a harder conversation. It's the nature of having jobs, kids, obligations, all those kinds of things. Then from there, late on Sunday, we had a Super Fantasy Brawl unboxing, if you want to check that out. Then, sorry, just more coffee. Monday we had a few different things. Not true. Monday we had one thing. We had upcoming Kickstarters for 2022. This is part 1. A lot of upcoming Kickstarters, a lot of things to be aware of, and that list is only going to continue to grow. That was more focused on first quarter, although some things in first quarter I left out, either by mistake or just by mistake. And that's going to, hopefully, most of those will be showing up in my next one, which will be this coming Monday. We're going to have upcoming Kickstarters 2022, part 2, covering a whole lot more, likely in less detail. Like, a lot of these I don't know enough about, and I'm not going to spend the time researching them. There's just too many. So I will know some things about some games, and know very little about others, it's going to be a lot of Kickstarters to be aware of, to be mentally mindful of in 2022. Not small stuff, by the way. I mean, there are small stuff in this, but there's a lot of big things, a lot of big stuff, including stuff I can't even say anything about yet, or stuff I can be vague and mysterious about. But yeah, lots of things coming. Make sure to pay attention to that upcoming video. Then on Tuesday we had a few reviews as usual. We had Search for Planet X, a review of that. Really enjoyed Search for Planet X. It's one that my biggest complaint was the multiplayer solitaire aspect of it. The fact that I felt that everyone who's played the game with me felt, and I've played it with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I played it with 6 different people. Not a single person in those games has ever really take into account what the other person was doing. Now, I say that for 2 reasons. One is our own experience from all of us was that it's about what you do on your turn, but then it's also worth noting that I got a lot of comments in the video, which I expected to a degree. Like, I specifically in the review was saying, hey, like, this is my experience, you might be playing it differently. And many people are. So it seems that if you pay attention to the comments of the video, there are a decent amount of people who definitely do get stuff out of other people's turns. So if you're looking for Search for Planet X, your experience might be either one of those. So factor that in terms of, and again, I like the game. It's not that I don't like the game. I think the game is great, but that was my critique. That critique may or may not be present depending on you, your game group, and how you play the game. From there, we have later on Tuesday, we had 5 family-friendly games. The video I did with my daughter covering a bunch of small little games, just like we had Dog Lover, we have Catamino, we have Sriracha, we had 2 other games. We had Candy Lab and one other. Kim Joy's Magic Bakery. Those are the 5 games we covered. Just going through those, you can check them out. Some are staying, some are leaving. The nature of the game. Then from there, we had later on Tuesday, we had a review for Mini Rogue. Another game that, I shouldn't say another game. Search for Planet X did work for me. I think Search for Planet X is excellent. We had another game, Mini Rogue, that did not work for me. I did not enjoy Mini Rogue to the point that I think I actually gave it the wrong rating. Sometimes my ratings have actual meanings to them, attached to them. It's always in the bottom of each description. I stopped talking to them. I just give a number and I don't say what the number means. But the truth is, I like my numbers to mean something. I like it to mean not just an abstract, oh, well, it feels like this. It has a specific meaning, each of my numbers. And I think I actually rated Mini Rogue wrong. I gave it a 2.5. It should be a 2. It's a game that, for me, Mini Rogue is a game I don't want to play again. Plain and simple. 2.5 is a little more vague. It's like, I'll find other things to do, but I'm willing to play it again. I would not play Mini Rogue again. The only reason I gave multiplays at all was because I'm reviewing it, and it's short enough I could. But, like, I only played it twice. I was not going to give it a third play. And Mini Rogue is one that, yeah, I don't want to play it again, but I gave it a 2.5 because I don't know why, I think I went to an instinctive rating instead of what my ratings actually mean. But again, it's worth noting, I think it's like a 7.9 or 7.8 on BoardGameGeek, so it's one that definitely has people. This is not spinning anymore. These are hard to actually spin, by the way. But Mini Rogue is one that a lot of people do like. I did not find it enjoyable. I found it long, random, and not enough agency for it to matter. The dungeon exploring part was fine, but just long and not enough agency, and in theory a proxy for a larger game, but being just as long. Not just as long as some games, but like I could play an adventure of Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion in the same time it took me to play Mini Rogue, and I'd rather play an adventure in Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. Setup is quicker in Mini Rogue, that to be fair. But either way, that was Mini Rogue on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday we had top 100 games, 20 to 11. Going through that list slowly. Lost Winds of Arnak coming in at 11. I assume it will be higher next year because it's weird, because Lost Winds of Arnak should be higher on its own merit if my top 100 games did not shift past the top 100, because I played it with the expansion, meaning I filmed it first, then I played it with the expansion. The expansion came after. And so, well, I also ordered my list, whatever. Top 100 with Lost Winds of Arnak, Lost Winds of Arnak with the expansion would be higher than 11. But the flip side is next year means we also get new games. So it might be pushed higher on the list, which is worse, but then also be pushed lower on the list because of the expansion. I don't know where it'll end up. We'll see. But in my top 10, we'll talk about my top 10 this coming week. Then from there, we had on Thursday, we had a video for Deluxe Games. I think we also had a Townsfolk Tussle unboxing. I'm not certain. It depends what happens, but we'll talk about it. Depends what goes on Thursday. Then on Friday we had, Deluxe Games. Deluxe Games, we went through Genties, we went through the Reckoners, we went through Hallertau, we went through a bunch of games with both upgrades and deluxifications, we went through Dune Imperium, and then one more game, Mind MGMT, the deluxe version. Again, as usual, some upgrades, some deluxe games, just talking about the deluxified games in my collection. And then, again, we had Super Fantasy Brawl, not Super Fantasy Brawl, we had Townsfolk Tussle unboxing, which is the second time I've unboxed that game. And then on Friday we had Do You Need That Game, which is a little different than the last times I've done it. This one's more of a, and I find whenever I film Do You Need That Game, I find that I don't have as clear of a direction as to what I'm actually doing with that series. So I talk about the games, and it can be very useful for those who haven't watched all my reviews, which is probably many of you. But I I still feel I need more focus and direction on that series. This was me experimenting a bit and ordering the last 30 reviews I've done, basically. Just ordering them in terms of what I'd want to play the most. Not counting rating exclusively, counting what I want to play the most, which means some games have lower ratings, but I want to play them more with games that higher than ratings. That goes almost weirdly to the conversation about what's a great game and not. Longer conversation there. Then from there, we have today. Today we'll have Ghosts of Christmas coming, we'll have a review for Ghosts of Christmas, as well as a gameplay of Rolling Heights. So if you want to see a gameplay of Rolling Heights, that'll be coming later today. And then lastly, we have next week coming up, we have the more upcoming Kickstarters on Monday, and then on Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be doing a premiere of my top 100 10 through 1. Premiere means I already filmed it, but I will be, in the comments talking back and forth in the live chat so we can all go through it together. Just because I didn't actually get a guest, unfortunately. I was trying to get a guest in my top 10 to 1. Timing-wise, I couldn't make anything work out, and so it's just me. But this way I can share it with you and have fun that way. And then lastly, games on the table. We have Parks, which I really want to play with Nightfall, because I want to get that expansion played. Besieged, I want to play this one this year. She has expressed a desire to play this one. I want to see, and Jesse as well, but I want to see if they like it or not. I want to see if it holds up. I like Besieged, and I keep thinking I should get rid of it, because I don't play it over other games in the same genre. But I really like it, and so I always keep it every time I'm faced with it. I'm like, I should get rid of it, and I'm like, no, and I should get rid of it, and no. So, honestly, if Shira and Jesse hate it, I'll help, because I can just get rid of it. If they love it, well, then I have that problem in my hands. And then Harry Potter. Like I said, I'm enjoying Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle with my daughter. I want to go through Harry Potter Talisman with her as well, see if they enjoy it with the kids. And Last Aurora, which I've heard good things about from, I think Z Garcia really likes this one. I want to give this one a shot from Ares Games. I want to see if it works for me as well. We'll see which of these get played. As usual, some of these get played, some of these don't. These are just my ambitions for the week. Ways to let myself down. In any case, until next time, I am Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you have a very relaxing weekend, or whatever you've had so far and continue to have. I hope you play a lot of games, have fun with the people you love, or even the people you don't like. Have fun with anyone, why not? But as always, and most importantly, have a good one.